Good morning, STEM. Welcome to your next episode of Building a Rocket in Miss Thompson's Kitchen. We are getting close. We've only got a few steps left. This last few videos is going to finish up your rocket so that they're ready to launch next week. So first I'd like to point out that I've added a couple of pieces to the inside of my body tube. So this is my upper stage. And remember, I want my egg to be centered right here so that I have my upper center of gravity of my crew capsule right here. So what I've done inside is I've made a little platform that I've glued in, and I did that the exact same way that we did our engine mounts. I drew a circle on a piece of cardboard, and then I cut little tabs in it and glued that in. And then I've done the exact same thing in my nose cone, and I put a little weight in here just to keep it compressed while it dried. But see how that I've put that in there. And now when I put my nose cone, whoops, you can't see that. When I put my nose cone on top, what that will do is that will keep the egg from falling into the top of the nose cone, and then I don't have to use as much packing material to fill up the nose cone and make my rocket even heavier. So, and then remember, I'm gonna, at the last minute, pack my egg, and then I'm gonna tape this with some duct tape so that it doesn't fall off, because remember when our body tubes separate at apogee, this side's going to be facing down, and I do not want my egg falling out the other end. So, whoops, that wasn't quite dry. Stick that back in there so that will finish drying. So that's got my crew capsule area all nice and contained. So again, you don't have to make your nose cone removable. You can cut, a door in the side to put your egg in. Like, you can come up with another method to add and remove your egg. It just has to be able to, you've got to be able to put the egg in and take the egg out without completely destroying your rocket. All right, the next step that we're going to do is to secure our parachute to our shot cord and then mount it into our body tubes. So the shot cord is the elastic that should be in your kit. You should have about like 12 centimeters or something like that. I can't remember what the instructions said. But since we've got two stages, this shot cord actually does two things. Remember from our constraints, it says that the entire rocket has to return to the ground together. If they break apart, then you lose points for that. And so what this does is this ensures that the whole entire rocket stays together, because one side of the shot cord is going to be mounted in the upper stage, and then the other side of the shot cord is going to be in the lower stage, and then the parachute is also attached to the shot cord. So some methods use two different pieces of shot cord, one for the parachute and one for connecting the stages. I designed mine to where I just use one piece. This is more efficient, uses less shot cord, and I've just found success with it, so I do it. So what I've done is I've tied my parachute to the shot cord, but I've not done it in the middle, and here's why. When the two pieces separate, I don't want that bottom piece banging into my upper stage. So I want to try to keep it farther down than the upper stage. So I've got the one half kind of longer, and then this top half is going to go to my egg capsule. And that way, hopefully, as it comes down, these two things aren't smacking into each other. The other reason why I do that is if it's coming out of the middle and you've got these two long pieces of shot cord, it is kind of easier for the parachute to get tangled up in it. And so I'm just trying to decrease the chances that the parachute gets tangled. So you can just glue the shock cord right to the inside of your body tubes, but I found that students who do that tend to have problems with it staying. A lot of times with the jolt of the counter charge and the jolt of the parachute with the body tubes and everything, the shock cord comes unglued. So there's a couple of different methods that you can use. One method, you actually just put a hole in the side of your body tube and you just tie the shock cord to it. I've had students do that very successfully. I tend to not like that method just because it looks kind of darky having this like knot on the side of your rocket. I try to put it on the inside. But it also does seem to oftentimes keep things from getting caught on it because the knots are outside of the rocket instead of inside. And if you're not inside the rocket, sometimes the shroud lines and things like that will get caught on it and it'll keep your parachute from deploying. So whatever you do, you got to be really careful that nothing's going to catch on it and keep your parachute from deploying like it's supposed to. Another method that I've seen used is using little tiny eye screws where you screw the eye into the side of the body tube and then you tie the shock cord to it on the inside. The student that did that last year, the eye screws came loose because their body tube wasn't thick enough to really give it enough to hold on to. And their parachutes followed their rocket back down. And so that was kind of a bummer, but another method that you could try. The method that I've found the most success with is basically making this kind of little tab to go on the end of your shock cord like this, that then increases the surface area of what you're gluing. And so then this piece with, attached to your shock cord would then get glued right on the inside of your body tube. So let's see if I can do this where you can see. So right here where it's, can come loose and dangle from the parachute. It's also very low profile, so it's not likely to get stuck on anything, stuff like that. So I'm going to teach you how to make this little tab. And you can find fancy little templates for them online where they're like kind of wedge shaped and stuff. And if you want to print those out or take it out of the little booklet that I put in your rocketry kit, you can. But I found it's just as easy to cut like about a 2 to 3 inch strip of paper or cardstock. You don't want it to be too thick, but something kind of sturdy. Definitely not something like tissue paper. You want it to be stronger than that. And essentially, I'll put this down here on the countertop where you can see a little better. Essentially, you just put a straight line of glue about 3/4 of the way down the strip. So notice the glue, it's about 3/4 of the way down the strip. And then what you do is you lay that piece of shock cord across that little line, like so. So again, oops, this is definitely harder with one arm than two. So I've kind of laid it down over that strip of glue. And then all you do is you fold it up. And the goal of folding it is so that it captures the end of the elastic in there so that if you pull on the elastic, it's not going to come loose. It's wrapped up inside there, and the elastic is actually folded back on itself. And then like I did here, you want to kind of clip it together just with something, a paper clip, a binder clip. You can put like a heavy can or something on that, but you want to just clamp it together really tightly so that the glue, glues pretty sturdily in there. When that dries, then you're going to take, in my case, the shorter end of the shroud or the shot cord, and I'm going to attach that. So this is my nose cone end. This is my lower end. I'm going to attach that right inside the edge of my rocket body tube. So again, use a pretty decent amount of glue, clamp it on there, let it completely dry. And then the bottom end, or the other end, is going to glue right on the inside edge of the lower stage of the body tube. And that way the two body tubes will be connected and the parachute will be connected. And that way when it deploys, everything will come down together. So I will get those glued up and dried, and then I'll show you what it looks like in a separate video once it's all connected. So I hope your rockets are coming along well, and the next video I'll show you how to do your fins, and then all we will have left to do is put on our launch lug, and then we're ready to lock and load and launch next week at school. So I'll be giving you some more guidelines about how that's going to look as soon as the Department of Health approves our plan. So we literally have to go through the State Department of Health to be able to do this. So I love you guys so much. I got Mr. Carlson to do the paperwork for me. So we'll see how it goes. I'm really crossing my fingers, so you guys can cross your fingers too, that they'll approve our plan and we can go in next week and do our rocket launch. So I hope you guys have a great day, and look forward to seeing you guys next week, hopefully, fingers crossed.